Good morning, lesson 1. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at a new way of measuring angle. So far all our angles have been measured in degrees, and the degree was created thousands of years ago by the ancient astronomers, and it comes from the fact that it takes the Earth 365 days approximately to travel around the sun in a circle. So this is where the measure of 1 degree came from, so that you could divide it up. Obviously 365, a quarter doesn't work very well, so what they've done is they've gone to their sort of like nearest number, which has a lot of factors. So the problem with the degree is it really limits the maths that we can do. So to move forward, what we need is another way of describing angles, and this is going to be what we call a radian. Now, to define a radian, we're going to go back to the formula for the circumference of a circle that you use in GCSE. So for GCSE, you know that the circumference of the circle is pi times diameter. And obviously your diameter, the distance going across there. So the diameter is 2 lots of the radius. So another way of writing the circumference of the circle is 2 pi times the radius. And the way that we define a radian is whatever the distance of the radius is, that you measure that in the form of an arc. So if that distance was 5 centimetres, a radian for this circle here would be if you had an arc of 5 centimetres, and the radian is 1 radian is this angle here. So this is how we define a radian. Now, because the circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times the radius, or 2 pi times the radius, this radius distance will go around the circumference of the circle 2 pi times. So we think of so different ways that we write it. We write the degrees. We show that something is an angle in degrees by this degree symbol. You've just always done it, you've never really thought about it. When we measure in radians, so here I'm saying an angle going between 0 degrees and 360 degrees, I use the degree symbol. But when we talk about an angle in radians, we don't have to write anything down. If we wanted to write the word radian or rad, we could, but if there's no degree symbol there, it means we're working in radians. So, using this, we know that the circumference of a circle is 2 pi times the radius. So how many times does the radius go into that? 2 pi. So there are 2 pi lots of radian in the circle. 360 degrees is 2 pi radians. So dividing both sides by 2, we get this result. And you need to know that result. 180 degrees is pi radians. So all that we would then do is, to get 1 degree, remember you always divide by what you want 1 of. 1 degree is going to be pi divided by 180 radians. However, if I wanted 1 radian, I would divide by 180 degrees by pi. So 1 radian is 180 degrees over pi. Notice, no degree symbol here, but a degree symbol here. So all you're going to do in your first lesson is convert between the two. So 20 degrees, so you've got different ways of thinking this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 20 degrees to radians. So I could think, well, if that's 1 degree, I simply multiply it by 20. So I would just do that. So I would end up with a nice exact value. Obviously, I could press my S to D or F to D button on my calculator and I could get that as a rounded decimal to 3 significant figures. However, if I wanted to convert a radian back to a degree, 2 radians, well, 2 radians is obviously going to be 2 lots of 1 radian. So I would use my conversion factor there and multiply 180 over pi by 2, which will give me 114.6. Now, there are certain results that are really useful for us to know, and they all come from the information 180 is pi radians. So you know that obviously 90 degrees is a half of 180, so 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians. Notice I've got no symbol there. 45 degrees, well, that's a quarter of 180, so it's a quarter of pi radians, and so on. So results that you need to be familiar with. 30 degrees, well, that's a sixth of 180, so it's a sixth of pi radians. 60 degrees, that's a third of 180. So we expect you to be familiar with these. And again, in the other direction, so if you've got pi radians, it's 180 degrees. 3 pi radians, 540 degrees. And then again, going backwards into the other direction. So pi by 4 is going to obviously be the same as 180 by 4. 2/3 of pi is 2/3 of 180 degrees. So it's quite straightforward to convert between one and the other. And that's really all we're going to do in our first lesson today. So exercise 7A, questions 2, 3 and 4 in your textbook. If you haven't managed to access your textbook, then I've attached them to the PDF. Thank you.